Angolan President Joao Lourenco is hosting peace talks in Luanda aimed at bringing a resolution to the conflict in the Eastern DRC. For more on this, we now speak to SABC News international editor Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, the conflict in the Eastern DRC has been ongoing for incredibly long time and has become increasingly complex. How important are these talks?
The talks were supposed to be very important, but unfortunately, as you know, that both President Kagame of Rwanda and the President of the DRC, Tshisekedi, are important to the talks. Because if they are not there, then you are not going to achieve what you want to achieve. And unfortunately, today, the meeting was called off because the President of Rwanda didn't pitch, but he did send a delegation led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, while the President of DRC did show up. But there were issues yesterday in preparation to today where the DRC and Rwanda couldn't agree. For example, Rwanda was saying that you must bring on board the M23 rebels who are fighting in the eastern part of the DRC because they are Congolese and they are part of that country, and that's where the problem is. On the other hand, they were also asking that President Tshisekedi should not continue to engage or to fight side by side with the FDR because these are people who allegedly committed genocide in Rwanda. They are the genocidaires, and therefore you can't bring them in because these are people who have committed atrocities in Rwanda, and there was no agreement in terms of those conditions from the DRC and also from Rwanda, and therefore the meeting has again not been able to produce much needed results. It has failed.
Yeah, the most recent escalations of tension between Rwanda and the DRC was when President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC had addressed the United Nations General Assembly under 2 months ago and had called for sanctions against Rwanda and very specifically against the Rwandan President. This off of the back of the United Nations report having found that Rwanda very specifically, covertly supports, funds and trumps up the M23 rebels, which are fighting in the northern Kivu and southern Kivu, which of course is in the eastern DRC. Is there any talks that can take place anywhere, mediated and interlocuted by anyone, that can de-escalate the tensions between the two heads of state very specifically? Because this seems to be happening at a level of direct personal attacks.
I don't think at this moment there's anyone who will be able to do that. You know that there's a process in the SADC region led by President of Angola as the former chair of SADC. On the other hand, because DRC is also a member of East African Community, there's a process, mediation led by the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. And therefore, both, they can't win. And you know, DRC will come with counter allegations based on what Rwanda has said, and the DRC also talking about they are going to fight and they will attack Rwanda. So it's very, very tense, and I can't see anyone at this moment who will be able to deal with this crisis, because for a mediator to be successful, the two parties or the two people who are leading the tensions are supposed to agree and be willing to agree in terms of what the mediator is proposing or the facilitator is perhaps recommending in terms of what needs to happen. But unfortunately, the two leaders, I can't see Paul Kagame and Felix Tshisekedi agreeing. I can't even visualize that. Right now, the divisions and the tension is so entrenched
Is there any sort of rallying and momentum being built upon the call by Felix Tshisekedi for sanctions on Rwanda and specific sanctions on the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame?
He is trying, but that is not going to succeed, because when Kagame is responding, you also get a sense that he is not the only person who's at fault. And therefore, people who are watching this are saying the only solution is a political solution, a diplomatic solution. And therefore, I can't see, there's no way. I mean, Paul Kagame is able to point out why he is in this situation. It's because this one is hosting the people who committed genocide in Rwanda, and they are still threatening to go back and kill people in Rwanda. On the other hand, this one is saying you are supporting the M23 rebels who are attacking us. And Kagame is saying, but those are your people, resolve your people. The problem of Congolese, don't marginalize the other people in your country. So it's very difficult.
Yeah. Sophie Mokoena, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. That was Sophie Mokoena, SABC News International Editor.